to organize your writing block. And that's it. Okay, we're done. Just kidding. So there's really 3 basic components to a writer's workshop in organizing your writing. You start with a mini lesson. I like to bring all the kids to the carpet. And in that mini lesson, so many different possibilities where you can do a modeled writing. I did that earlier this week. You can revise your writing. You can use, and this is what my favorite thing is, to use a mentor text or to use, it sounds weird, but even doing like a quick read aloud during your mini lesson to tie back to something that you saw in a book that you want students to try in their writing. So that is what the mentor text is for. I'm a huge fan of doing author studies and genre studies, so as kids really get to know an author, they go, oh, that's what so-and-so does in their books. And so they might want to try it in their own writing. Some of the things you might do in a mini lesson are teach kids some skills, the procedures. You might do some content lesson. What is a narrative going to include? What is your opinion piece going to look like? What do you have to include? You might talk about the conventions that you want to see in a piece, the writing process. You might do lessons that focus on the text features, on including voice, on sentence variation, on your hook. So anything that you want to focus on, this is your mini lesson. This can be just a quick little 5-minute lesson. Today, the read aloud that I did, it was 5 minutes. When I did my modeled writing, it ended up being so long I had to cut it into 2 pieces. Like I could see them. They're excited, but I ran out of paper and I didn't have any more. So it was a good ending point. So I'll show you that in a little bit. So 5 to maybe 20 minutes. And so obviously with the littles, maybe it's even, it's more on the shorter side usually. The next component is independent writing. So this can be a big chunk of time depending on your schedule, depending on your students' stamina. It's something that you want them to build. As we're integrating more of our social studies and science together, they could be doing writing at different times throughout the day, so maybe it doesn't have to be a solid block, but traditionally this is all your writer's workshop. Sometimes to follow your reader's workshop, which is a very similar model, right? During their independent writing time, what are they doing? So you are walking around the class and you're conferencing with students. So you've sent them out, I'm sorry, I forgot here. As you've modeled this mini lesson, you kind of put it out there to them. And so today maybe you're going to try to really go back to your opening sentences, go back to your topic sentence and see if you can really hook us and maybe trying one of the different examples that you gave them. So you want to see if they're willing to try something in their writing. So as you're conferencing with them, you're getting ideas on where are the students as writers, is this, are they trying this out, who still needs conventions, who's not on topic, and so you can walk around with your little clipboard taking your little notes. You can also see at this time who is embracing this, who revised their hook, who is adding those details, who tried to include some voice, who has evidence of that. So that at the end, you can bring those students up and you can highlight their work in what we call the author's chair or the share out at the very end of that. The other thing that you can do during this block of time, you can conference for part of the time. You can also use that time to do guided writing for your kiddos that are not writing independently. I know in kinder that's like everyone, but for me in 2nd grade with all the Spanish language learners that I have, most of them are not writing independently. So I can pull a group together and we can kind of go through some pattern sentences, or they have their ideas. The difference with the 2nd graders is that they've written in English, so they have something to show me, and then I can help transition them to Spanish. So that's what the block looks like, and again, then sharing out. So these kids, maybe they would never share out on their own, trying it, but since we did something together and we've practiced reading it and writing, I can say, oh, why don't you guys go up and share what we did today in writing, and so they can come up and share out. So it gives everyone a chance to show what they've learned. So that's the components, so anywhere from 30, 45 minutes to an hour, your day. Any questions so far? I'm sorry, I'm so fast. Okay, I talk fast anyway, but give me a crunch. Okay. So where did writing workshop come from? It's been around a really long time. Some important people, if you want to research or find information online, Lucy Calkins, So Lucy Calkins has a ton of books, and she now has this, she does something called the Reading and Writing Project. So on here, she has some anchor charts, she has examples, she has a lot of information. She sells like a product through this webpage, so it kind of gets annoying when they try to sell you stuff, but that's just to give you some ideas. but there are other people that have done her project or that are participants in her college, and they've developed some really cool pages for free. So, for example, like this one's called Busy Teachers Cafe. Well, I'm a busy teacher and I like cafe, so I really like this page. Just kidding. So this is like, here's components. But look, like she has, Lucy Calkins discusses, and here, it was like gold mine. I clicked on here, and there's all this information on features and conventions of mini lessons, what are different mini lessons you can do, all sorts of really great things. So I was wondering, Gabby, like we don't really have, I don't know where to deposit like all the information in the websites and resources and stuff, so I don't know whether to do a post on the blog or where we can put, okay. So I promise that I'll put it there. So there's a lot of information there on different mini lessons you can do, on different books that you can do, and so that's the next piece where I wanted to go. Oh, the other person is Ralph Fletcher. Ralph Fletcher, for upper grades especially, he has a lot, he has like using mentor texts for nonfiction. He talks a lot about writer's workshop with a nonfiction focus. I know that
I
that's...
have his 2 books.
Oh, good.
He has
Okay.
fiction and nonfiction.
He has both, yeah. And so mentor text is the piece that just gets me like super, super excited. So just an example from earlier in the week, I had done, and I know we're all trying to focus our kids' writing more, moving towards small moments, so we're all kind of playing around with this watermelon and the different slices and sizes. And so I talked about during my vacation, one of the things I did was Knott's Berry Farm, and so I gave the non-example that I didn't want to write about every single thing I did there. So I talked about some of the things I liked doing there that were special, my moments. Those are my seeds. And then, so this ride was called the Accelerator. And I used to love roller coasters, and now I swear they make me nauseous and pukey. Like,
Yeah,
I'll go to
me
Knott's Berry
too.
Farm, I go on 2 rides, and the rest of the day I'm like, oh, like this. Like, I literally makes me sick to my stomach. But my daughters, we have a year pass, and doggone it, we made the best use of that pass ever. So I had, I talked about Accelerator, and so I started doing like a modeled writing, and it's a mess, I make mistakes, but I did try to include in there like kind of how I felt that my heart was like boom, 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 beating, and then my palms were sweaty, and that I wanted to get off, and I didn't know whether to go on or not. And so then I'm telling my team, I'm like, oh, my writing went great, I did this. They're like, oh, did you read the book Roller Coaster? And I'm like, what book? So 3 people on my team, see, and I was like, how do I not know? So then I'm like searching Barnes & Noble and looking at the public library, see if we have it. And then guess what? We had it in our school library. Roller Coaster. So then today, even though the book is in English, I went ahead and I read to them, and they said, them by them, of course I made the connection, I just wrote that 2 days ago. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like your story, and you should do this, and you could do that, and you could try that. So they were telling me how I could improve my story, and so, I did just a teeny tiny bit, like they wanted me to put, because I had put, when I went up, that I was like, oh my god, they said, oh, you should put your words going up like that, like they did. So they were really, they loved it. So it's just a quick little, and so there's the sounds like, wee, and you can see mine here, when I wrote, mine was like, ah! And that's me when I'm writing, I'm like, ah! And so they said, oh, you should write it like that, like, ah, like this while you're going down. And so this was just a really simple example, and they wanted me to write like that, because then I said that I did a loop-de-loop, whatever, and so they wanted me to write it like that. And then, of course, a lot of the kids, during their break, they go to Legoland, they go to Disneyland. So 5 kids afterwards had ideas from here, and they were like, wee, and zoom, and in their writing, talking about the dragon ride at Legoland, or the Space Mountain. It was dark, and I went, ah, so right away they use it. So the idea is, not necessarily when you start your modeled writing, but a lot of times going back to a piece that you've already started and saying, remember that book we read? Or remember how we've been reading this author and she tries this? Why don't we, today I'm going to show you how maybe I can use that. And so one of the things you can do in your mini lesson is either read aloud a mentor text, because I did that not during reading time, I did it during writing time. So I was going to connect that back to my writing. So I brought some examples, and I have, she makes fun of me because I did some training at the district on using, just using different books for writing. So